Kabbalah is an esoteric method, discipline and school of thought in Jewish mysticism. A traditional Kabbalist is called a Makubal, receiver and quad. The definition of Kabbalah varies according to the tradition and aims of those following it, from its origin in medieval Judaism to its later adaptations in Western esotericism, Christian Kabbalah and Hermetic Kabbalah. Jewish Kabbalah is a set of esoteric teachings meant to explain the relationship between the unchanging, eternal God, the mysterious Ein Sof, the infinite and the mortal, finite universe, God's creation. It forms the foundation of mystical religious interpretations within Judaism. From the Renaissance onwards, Jewish Kabbalah texts entered non-Jewish culture, where they were studied and translated by Christian Hebraists and Hermetic occultists. The syncretic traditions of Christian Kabbalah and Hermetic Kabbalah developed independently of Judaic Kabbalah, reading the Jewish texts as universalist ancient wisdom preserved from the Gnostic traditions of antiquity. Both adapted the Jewish concepts freely from their Jewish understanding, to merge with multiple other theologies, religious traditions and magical associations. With the decline of Christian Kabbalah in the Age of Reason, Hermetic Kabbalah continued as a central underground tradition in Western esotericism. Through these non-Jewish associations with magic, alchemy and divination, Kabbalah acquired some popular occult connotations forbidden within Judaism, where Jewish theurgic practical Kabbalah was a minor, permitted tradition restricted for a few elite. Today, many publications on Kabbalah belong to the non-Jewish New Age and occult traditions of Kabbalah, rather than giving an accurate picture of Judaic Kabbalah. Instead, academic and traditional Jewish publications now translate and study Judaic Kabbalah for wide readership. According to the traditional Kabbalistic understanding, Kabbalah dates from Eden. It came down from a remote past as a revelation to elect tzaddikim, righteous people, and, for the most part, was preserved only by a privileged few. Talmudic Judaism records its view of the proper protocol for teaching secrets in the Talmud, Tractate Hagiga, 11b 13a, one should not teach the work of creation in pairs, nor the work of the chariot to an individual, unless he is wise and can understand the implications himself, etc. And quod. Contemporary scholarship suggests that various schools of Jewish esotericism arose at different periods of Jewish history, each reflecting not only prior forms of mysticism, but also the intellectual and cultural milieu of that historical period. Answers to questions of transmission, lineage, influence, and innovation vary greatly and cannot be easily summarized. Christian Kabbalah arose during the Renaissance due to Christian scholars' interest in the mysticism of Jewish Kabbalah, which they interpreted according to Christian theology. It is often transliterated as Kabbalah, also Kabbalah, to distinguish it from the Jewish form and from Hermetic Kabbalah. The movement was influenced by a desire to interpret aspects of Christianity even more mystically than current Christian mystics. Greek Neoplatonic documents came into Europe from Constantinople in the reign of Mehmet II. Neoplatonism had been prevalent in Christian Europe and had entered into scholasticism since the translation of Greek and Hebrew texts in Spain in the 13th century. The Renaissance trend was a relatively short-lived phenomenon, ending by 1750. Christian scholars interpreted Kabbalistic ideas from a distinctly Christian perspective, linking Jesus Christ, his atonement, and his resurrection to the 10 Sephiroth, the upper 3 Sephirot to the hypostases of the Trinity and the other 7 to the lower or earthly world and quad. Alternatively, they would make Kether the Creator, or the Spirit, Hokmah the Father, and Binah, the supernal Mother, Mary, which placed her on a divine level with God, something the Orthodox churches have always refused to do in quad. Christian Kabbalists sought to transform Kabbalah into a dogmatic weapon to turn back against the Jews to compel their conversion, starting with Ramon Lull, whom Harvey J. Hames called the first Christian to acknowledge and appreciate Kabbalah as a tool of conversion, though Lull was not a Kabbalist himself nor versed in Kabbalah. Later Christian Kabbalah is mostly based on Pico della Mirandola, Johann Reuchlin, and Paolo Riccio. After the 18th century, Kabbalah became blended with European occultism, some of which had a religious basis, but the main interest in Christian Kabbalah was by then dead. A few attempts have been made to revive it in recent decades, particularly regarding the Neoplatonism of the first 2 chapters of the Gospel of John, but it has not entered into mainstream Christianity. Hermetic Kabbalah is a Western esoteric tradition involving mysticism and the occult. It is the underlying philosophy and framework for magical societies such as the Golden Dawn, the Lemmic orders, mystical religious societies such as the Builders of the Adytum and the Fellowship of the Rosy Cross, and is a precursor to the Neo-Pagan, Wiccan and New Age movements. The Hermetic Kabbalah is the basis for Qliphothic Kabbalah as studied by left-hand path orders, such as the Typhonian order. Hermetic Kabbalah arose alongside and united with the Christian Kabbalistic involvement in the European Renaissance, becoming variously esoteric Christian, non-Christian, or anti-Christian across its different schools in the modern era. It draws on a great many influences, most notably, Jewish Kabbalah, Western astrology, alchemy, pagan religions, especially Egyptian and Greco-Roman. It is from the latter that the term Hermetic is derived. Neoplatonism, Gnosticism, the Enochian system of angelic magic of John D. and Edward Kelly, Hermeticism, Tantra and the symbolism of the tarot. Hermetic Kabbalah differs from the Jewish form in being a more admittedly syncretic system. However, it shares many concepts with Jewish Kabbalah. Hermetic Kabbalists see the cards of the tarot as keys to the tree of life. The 22 cards, including the 21 trumps plus the Fool or Zero card, are often called the major arcana or greater mysteries and are seen as corresponding to the 22 Hebrew letters and the 22 paths of the tree. The ace to 10 in each suit correspond to the 10 Sephiroth in the 4 Kabbalistic worlds, and the 16 court cards relate to the classical elements in the 4 worlds. While the Sephiroth describe the nature of divinity, the paths between them describe ways of knowing the divine. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe.